Yep, 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 yep.
Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. We're back. It's our third show in August 2021, would you believe? And the whole team is back. Joined by Keke. Hi, Keke.
Hello. How are we doing, guys?
By Rich. Hello, Rich.
All right, Miduk.
And that's Rich with his Robert Taylor impression. And Mark's there as well.
Hey.
He's there somewhere. Good stuff. So we promised that we'd get back to you with an episode previewing the upcoming World Cup qualifying games. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Look at the squad, which has just been announced, preview the three upcoming games against Wales, Kazakhstan and France. We're also going to have a little look at the Pikkuhuuhkajat, the under-21 squad, and also look at some transfers for Finnish players moving around, mostly overseas. Some of them from Finland itself. I've given up the old tradition of asking Mark if he's got any breaking news. So I reckon if we wait.
Wait, I do have this one. So I think it's just been, I think it wasn't exactly just now, but it was something we don't want to miss, which is that there's going to be more tickets released for the Wales and the Kazakhstan home games that come up next week. Sorry.
That is breaking news. You've broken it before the referee even blew his whistle. You can get a yellow card before the game kicks off. But he's going to blow his whistle now. And let's do this. Let's have a look at the squad. Why don't we maybe go through the sort of three or four of us with a few observations? But I thought maybe let's look at who's new into the squad. Rich, do you want to have a few words about anyone that's new into the squad for this round of games?
There's two debutants in the squad. Well, certainly those who've never been called up before for the squad. You've got Kaan Kaiden of Lillestrøm and Urho Nissilä from Kups. Now, Nissilä is someone I've been watching quite a lot over the last 6 years or so. I think I saw him at a Kups game in 2015, and I think they're playing Honka, and he spent most of the game trying to score from corners, which was quite impressive. And then the following game, he actually managed it. He's a really exciting player. He got his big move abroad. He went to Zulte Waregem in Belgium. It didn't work out for him. That was the same club I think Mikael Soisalo went to. Nissilä came back initially on loan and then a full transfer at the start of this season. He's come back to Kups. Really, really exciting stuff. He's filled the gap that Niskanen left when he went to Germany and subsequently to Dundee. And I think it's really exciting. He's he's kind of a bit like Petteri Forsell. He likes he has plenty of shots from outside the box. He's quite dynamic. He's kind of a attacking midfielder, very dangerous going forward. Really quite exciting stuff. If anyone's seen Zoolander, he looks exactly like Hansel from there. So he's so hot right now.
I said to you guys the other day that I'd seen him a couple of times playing against Asukor, and he's just an absolute nuisance. He's everywhere. Like you say, he's moving the ball around. He's popping up here, there, and everywhere over the pitch. And he stands out with his sort of blonde floppy hair flapping around in the wind as he's running. But I was pleased to see him get the call up. What about Kairinen from Lillestrøm?
Well, he was at Inter previously. He's been sort of on the cusp of the squad. I think he was doing well for the under-21s, but I think moving to Norway, I would say took him off the radar a little bit because that's unfair. But I think it's kind of he's benefiting now that a couple of players obviously missing out from the squad that we'll talk about. But he's been pretty consistent. I mean, I saw him quite a lot at Inter. Not seen him too much recently, but again, promising. He's good on the ball, and he's that age now where he's really should be looking at potentially being a squad regular. I'm not saying he's going to be the next the replacement for Sparv or taken over from those. But I think he's shown enough over the years at both under 21 and Veikkausliiga that, why not give him a shot? I mean, if he gets a few minutes or whatever against Wales and see where we go from there. And plus, Glenn Kamara's in the squad. He's banned for the Kazakhstan game. So there'll be a spot there that I imagine Schuller will probably slot into. Although, as we speak, Tim Sparv went off injured tonight for Huuhkajat in their Europa League game. So we'll see how serious that is. I think he lasted about 40 minutes. It could be a couple of changes over the weekend. We've still got a full round of fixtures over most of Europe.
Yeah, you mentioned about maybe get a few minutes against Wales, but it's important to note that that's the friendly before two competitive games against Kazakhstan and then away to France. Keke, who's missing from the squad that caught your attention?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sat here in my number 19 Yoni Kauko shirt, and obviously he hasn't made it. When we spoke to Yoni a few weeks ago, we did mention, did he have any feeling that his transfer to the Indian Super League or Indian Premier League would have any impact on his international chances? And whether you can take this as the first indication or not, we don't quite know, because he hasn't quite made it to India yet. He's currently in Turku, training with his old mates down there at Inter Turku, just to sort of keep his fitness up. And he'll be travelling to India in the next couple of days. So I'm sure once he's back playing regular football, wherever it is, well, we know where it's going to be. It's going to be over there in India for ATK. But we'll have to wait and see for the next squad announcement to see if that has had a serious direct impact. And the other one that caught my eye, which I thought was a bit, considering his recent form, is Juha Pirinen. Obviously, he was one that didn't quite make it to the final selection for the Euros, and he seems to have been overlooked again. I think he can feel a little bit hard done by, but Rive does seem to have gone with a few of those upcoming youngsters in the squad there. I mean, we got Ivanov is there. Obviously, Daniel O'Shaughnessy is there, and when you're taking those guys, Nikolai Alho's in there as well. When you're taking those guys, there's only so many spots you can fill, I suppose, and Juha misses out. But I just think he's over there in Slovakia. He's playing well, and I certainly feel a bit gutted for him, and I'm sure he might feel the same.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say Juhani Oyala. He moved to Motherwell recently, and they spoke about him. He's not in the squad. Rive said that he wanted to stay loyal to the team or to the squad that was at the Euros, and in his opinion, that none of them have done enough to warrant being dropped. He made a point of, after Oyala was dropped from the squad for the summer, and there was a bit of a falling out. They said, the road's still open and everything, but Oyala's got his move. He's playing in a decent quality league, but I think he's going to have to do it a bit more consistently to dislodge anyone in there, because that's pretty much the same line of defenders he took to Russia in the summer.
He picked up an assist actually at the weekend. Juhani Oyala got up well to meet. I think it was a corner. Got up well to meet a corner, nodded it down, and managed to pick up an assist as his new Motherwell teammate sort of poked it over the line. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent standard up there in Scotland, and if he may be able to force his way back in.
One thing that caught my eye, talking about players missing, is there's only 2 goalkeepers been named for the squad. It's usually, you see we're looking at the squad picture, which is in the show notes blog post, and normally there's 3 keepers at the top of the picture, but there's only Radetsky and Uranen. Nothing wrong with that, you would expect those 2 to be the 2 that actually played, but if someone's
they did say
injured,
they'd had a third at some point, but I wonder if he couldn't make his mind up. I think with Nicky Maempa starting in Serie A at the weekend against Napoli. Antti Jakola's, I don't think he's had a particularly good start to the season at Bristol Rovers, although his manager's Joey Barton, who's not exactly having a great time of it at the moment either. Carl Johan Eriksson had a blinder in Sweden the other day. I think a lot was made. He had one of those games that you get every so often where nothing can beat him, and he's in charge. So be interesting to see who he goes for number 3.
Mark, any comments about the general look of the squad?
Well, I mean, it's good to see. Well, Robin Lod's not there, right? So that's obviously a big. I mean, that's a kind of a big thing for us creatively. It's good to see Robert Taylor in there, who we spoke to last time out, and is in fantastic form, even though his club is going through some stuff. So I think that's gonna be tricky for us. I think the other thing that I noticed anyway is that I'm guessing now that's it for Albin Granlund. Like it's Uran and Wright, Alho and Hamalainen in the fullback positions, and Granlund didn't make it to the Euros, and I think he's now 32. So I think he's probably not going to get that much of a look in anymore, and that's a bit of a shame because I always really liked him as a player. Really industrious, good going forward, good defensively. He always gave 110%. And then the other thing that I noticed is Yasin Asenun, who moved to Emmen recently. He started playing for Emmen. I think he's played 3 or 4 times so far. He's starting to find his feet in Holland. Hopefully we get to see some more minutes from him, probably in the Wales game. Hopefully in the Wales game, because he's a young lad. There's a couple of young lads in there. Like in addition to Kairinen and Nisila, there's also Santeri Hostika and Asenun. And you think, this might be nice to see some of the young kids go out and do something good. So I think we've got the chance to test some young kids in the friendly, and then we've got enough. I think certainly we've got enough for Kazakhstan and then France.
It is certainly looking like a bit of a glimpse to the future, isn't it? With these younger guys sort of coming through and being rather than just getting to the squad and then dipping out again, being consistently picked for a couple. Obviously, we had the Euros, but a couple of squads now. So I think it possibly is a little window to the future there.
It shows a bit of Rive's thinking that Hostika has been back in Finland less than a month. He came back from Poland, I think, and he's gone straight into the squad. I think. Rive's named. I think it's 6. Or have I got the count of that wrong? Well, there's a number of Veikkausliiga players in the squad anyway. So he's obviously looking at that as I think a reward for good performances. But yeah, he's very much back in Finland. I wonder if he's going to stay at Huuhkajat or move on again. But it's interesting. I think Lod's injured. Kauko's not match fit in any way, and I think now that that we've talked about before, the international calendar's so warped now. Normally, you'd have a 2-year cycle after a tournament. We've got essentially months until the end of this Liga camp. So I think we'll see any bigger changes after the winter. But it's nice to see some people get rewarded for good club form.
It's another interesting one for me, just saying about, obviously I mentioned Juha Pirinen there. There was never any question that Paulus Arjuri and Joona Toivio would be named in the squad, the stalwarts there at the back. But yeah, Jukka Raitala has made it as well again. So obviously after Rich said that Rive was staying loyal to the guys he took to the Euros, and Raitala was one of those. So yeah, he stayed in the squad there. I mean, he's had a couple of runouts for Minnesota United in MLS, but it's another interesting one.
And just we'll come on to the games specifically in a moment. Or maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do it now, because we said that there's the Wales friendly, and then there's 2 Group D World Cup qualifier games. So it's firstly at home to Kazakhstan and then away to France. So the table is again in the show notes, but France are at the top. There's a group of 5. France are at the top with 7 points. Ukraine is second with 3. Finland, and those 2 teams have both played 3 games. And then Finland are third with 2 points from 2 games. Bosnia 1 point from 2 games, and Kazakhstan the same, 1 point from 2 games. So it's just about goal difference down the bottom there. So it's Kazakhstan followed by France. Are we expecting the Wales game to be somehow experimental? I mean, the squad is showing signs of this experimentation with the new players that we talked about. What do you guys think for the Wales game, and then how that might change for the competitive games?
Well, given that it's a triple header, and I think I should go. I mean, this might be one of the cases where I get proven completely wrong, like with the league, the Nations League. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the triple header, because I mean, fundamentally, 3 games in a row in what is it, 6 days, 7 days, something like that. It's going to rule out. So it means Sparv, if he recovers from the knock he took tonight, he's good for maybe 1.5. Bukki won't play 3 games, right? Force might, but again, the Premier League clubs will have their like half an eye on. Brentford will have half an eye on how many minutes he does. So anybody that's in a really competitive league probably won't be able to kind of go play in all of the games. So I'd imagine he'll use Wales as a testing bed, because you don't really want to take the risk too much against Kazakhstan. But our recent form against Wales isn't great. Like, I think that the last 2 games we lost with Urunen's red card, and then we lost 1-0 to that ridiculous Kiefer Moore sort of bundle over the line. Like, the games between Finland and Wales tend to be kind of attritional. So, I mean, I think we can only hope that he tries to experiment, because, it's we'd like to see a bit of action.
Yeah, I think we owe Wales one, really, don't we? So I mean, I completely agree with you, Mark. It does seem a bit difficult, especially with it being the first fixture on the list. You're not going to risk anyone getting injured for those more important World Cup qualifying games, are you? And it's a bit of a tricky one, but it would be nice to. I mean, they've got to travel. They've got to come over to Helsinki. But it would be nice to see us get something from bloody Wales. I'm sick of the sight of them, to be honest.
And also, like, if you play a kind of less experienced team in the Wales game, and someone said that Kamara is suspended from the Kazakhstan game, so already you're going to need someone to come in and take his place. So giving players the Wales game means that maybe those that weren't expecting to start the competitive matches get some game time and a little bit more ready if they need to step in.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, we've talked about before the Euros and during, really, like, what are Finland's midfield options when you go past Sparv and Kamara? Now, Kamara's going to miss the Kazakhstan game. As Mark said, we don't know what Sparv's injury is like yet. We're looking like possibly neither of them will play against Kazakhstan. Schuller is in good form in Sweden, so you'd imagine he'll be one of the starters. And then, what does he do? Does he go with a 2, go with a 3? There's a lot of decisions to make, and you can experiment against Wales, but it's difficult because, again, you want to get a little bit of momentum, but it's going to be hard to read too much into that Wales starting 11 and see where he's going from there. I think it'll be a chance to give a few people a cap, give a few people a bit of a run out, and that whole experience of playing for your country. Rob Taylor talked about it last week when we spoke to him. It was, he was nervous. It was getting that shirt on. We forget. This is playing in front of fans again. There's going to be 5,000 or 6,000, possibly more, I think, at the Olympia Stadium for the 2 games. So, some of these guys haven't played at home in Finland in front of a crowd. So it's just little things like that. It's useful for off the pitch stuff as well. I think some of the interviews we've done and some of the people we spoke to talk about playing for your country and doing all that, and you don't really want to be pigeonholed into one game, a big game, and it all goes a little bit over your head. So hopefully that'll be a nice little smoothener for him.
I think also, but I think it's also going to be the same. So that same sort of strange thing with the triple header is also going to apply to Wales at least for the Wales game. So Bale won't play for sure. Probably Aaron Ramsey won't play. Anybody that's in that sort of. I mean, it's a good question whether or not they'll risk Kiefer Moore even, because he's sort of a big burly forward, but he'll definitely play in the following games against Belarus and Estonia. So will they put him through three games in a row? I mean, yeah, fair enough. He used to work at leisure centre, so he's probably pretty fit. But I think there'll be a fair amount of rotation on their side as well. So with a bit of luck, we can get a little bit of entertainment out of that one.
And how do we feel about the not necessarily what the teams will be, but how the games against Kazakhstan and France are going to go? Obviously, everyone's remembering back to last winter and the 2-0 win away at France and the wonder goals from Valakari and Force. So, but we can't expect that again this time, can we? Keke,
Well,
you're gesturing to me. Do you have something to say?
No, I mean, more of the same, please. I'm happy with that.
Oh, you were just saying that you'd settle for another 2-0 win, and
Yeah.
But
I think
realistically,
France, I mean, France have come off the back of the Euros that they were expecting to win. They've got a team of players who, on paper, are potentially, certainly going forward and in midfield, some of the best in the world. I mean, bear in mind, we've joked before that, they put out a reserve team-ish against Finland, but then Finland played mostly a fringe squad against them before. But I mean, this obviously the circumstances are different. This is a competitive game. It's hard to tell, but you'd imagine that if France turn up with Mbappe, Griezmann, although Mbappe's got other things on his mind at the moment, so he might be distracted by his big move. So I don't know. I mean, I think Finland's main obviously priority for this will be to get hopefully a win against Kazakhstan, at least come out of this window with 3 points and build up. I mean, the runners-up spot in this group is the crew.
The thing about France is particularly the way that they went out of the Euros. That's not a happy camp, and I think like Rich said, so Mbappe's got his mind on a transfer. Griezmann's working out how to sort of, let's say, fill in the boots at Barcelona. Martial can't seem to make 2 passes in the Premier League. So I think, I mean, this isn't a bad time to play France. Confidence. They'll be looking to get a response. They'll probably hate coming up and playing against Finland, because we're going to do what River is going to do. So I'm absolutely sure we'll have 5 at the back, and we'll have as many defensive players as we can in the midfield, and we'll be looking to hit them on the counter. And if we can do this in a similar style of how we did it in the friendly, which is if we can frustrate them for the first half or the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes, then by the time they get to the second half, they'll fall apart. Because I think that's what we saw in the Euros. They thought they had, was it Austria or Switzerland? Was it Switzerland?
Switzerland.
Yeah, they thought they had Switzerland all beat, and then as soon as Switzerland sort of started to give them a bit of a game and get physical and start running at them, they just sort of they stopped being a team. It's always been a team of individuals. So I think we can certainly aim to get a point out of it, but like Rich said, if we come out with 3 points, we'll have done all right.
Yeah, I think same thing. Three from Kazakhstan, and then hope for a draw.
I mean, Kazakhstan got a draw out of Ukraine away. So it's you would hope to think that we can get a win there, but it's not. We've got to be on our game. It's not a foregone conclusion. I had a quick look at their squad today, and I mean, 98% of them are home, playing in the home league there in Kazakhstan. There's a couple in the Russian Premier Division, one for CSKA Moscow and a couple of other clubs. But yeah, I mean, they all know each other very well. They're not just there to turn up. That one each away in Ukraine is a bit of a warning sign. So yeah, we're gonna have to take them seriously, I think.
I think France only beat them 2-0, if I remember right, and they had a proper defensive approach against the French. So I think I think the days of expecting like somebody like Kazakhstan to rock up and us to put a cricket score past them, they're over. I think these guys, they are going to come up and be well organized. They're not going to leak, goals like crazy. So we just need to try and just try and stick at the game and be solid and score.
Play the game that Finland have been playing the last couple of years, and not the game they played 4 or 5 years ago. I'm looking forward to it. The just to recap for the of the fixtures. So it's Wednesday the 1st of September, 7:00 kickoff finish time. That's the Wales game. Then on Saturday the 4th, is that 4? Yeah, 4:00 kickoff. So afternoon kickoff is the Kazakhstan game. They're both played in the Olympia Stadion in Helsinki, and then on Tuesday the 7th, the France game away, 21:45 kickoff finish time in Lyon. Before we have the halftime break, what about this, Rich? The under-21 squad. They've got 2 games coming up against Estonia and Croatia. What caught your eye in that team?
I mean, we've talked about previously. We weren't sure what was going to happen. A lot of players have transitioned up from the under-21s to the seniors over the last sort of year, 18 months. There did seem to be a slight chasm in where the next lot were going to come from. And yet in the last few months over the pre-season for the club teams, some of them have had a couple of moves. And it seems all of a sudden that perhaps certainly the future isn't quite so doomed. You've got players like Oliver Antman, the superhero we all love. He's FC Nordjylland in Denmark. He's started, I think he's scored 2 goals in the last couple of games, looking really, really impressive. And then he's got Leo Walter with him as well, who's coming off the bench. So they're getting minutes in the Danish top division. Lucas Bergström, who's a very highly rated goalkeeper, he's been named in the Chelsea senior squad for this season and been given a squad number. I think he's I'm not sure if he's their 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper, but he's decent. Terry Ablade at Fulham, he was on the books of, I think it was FC Jazz for quite a while as a youngster. He's gone over to Fulham and he's the top scorer in the I think the under-23 Premier League for Fulham. So he's doing really well. It's one of those weird stories. His dad played for, I think, was it Ghana in one of the World Cups and moved over to Finland after that. But that's good names. About Julius Taurinainen scored his first goal for Freiburg, second team last night. We talked on the last podcast about Anssi Suhonen at Hamburg. He's starting for them in the second Bundesliga. And a couple of other names, Anthony Olusanya at Hoiko. He's getting game time, he's getting minutes. Etimurmo has gone from Ilves to Lecce in Italy. These are, getting good moves. They're getting minutes at big clubs, and you'll know yourself, Mark, Daniel Hakans at Asiko. He's in the squad as well. He's been doing quite well in the Veikkausliiga.
Yeah, he has. He scored a beautiful goal a few weeks ago from long range, and he's one of those players that sort of the previous season was a bit peripheral, but this year has played a lot more and is showing more in his game as well. And there's a couple of other Asiko players there. Puro Hannola, who we talked about also the last episode, looks like a really good player, and I'm sure he'll go back to Hoikko at the end of the season. I don't think we'll get another year out of him. But right at the bottom of the list in the show notes is Matthias Vainienpää, who I've been banging on about now for a year or so at Asiko, and I think he's now still only 18 or 19, but has sort of been playing his way up through the age group. So it's good to see him there as well.
Yeah, it's nice to see these young kids. Some of them are going abroad, some of them are staying in the Veikkausliiga, but they're starting to get picked up. I think, the coverage of Finnish youth national football has been quite good over the years. I think there's been a lot of the Palaliito are doing quite well. They're showing their games. I think they're encouraging people to come to the little tournaments that they do, and Yeah, and even little, it's nice to see little things like Sinisalo was on the bench for Aston Villa last night in their League Cup game. So these guys are getting some good experience, and it'll be nice to see in 2 or 3 years' time, once this cycle is over, how many of them can push into the senior team, because the next step, a lot of them are at big clubs in big leagues, but in the second teams and in the youth setups and stuff, and see how many of them can push on really.
Very good. Let's take a pause. The referee blows his whistle, and it's time for our halftime break. And I thought, rather than just talking this time, I'll try and do something a bit clever. So let's see how this works. There we go. So yeah, I just thought I'd show those watching the video the Finnish Football Show store on TeePublic. We talk about it often enough, so I thought I'd just have a little scroll through and show. I also said to Rich, either on the last show or after the last show, that this is our first season's worth of merchandise. We've seen a few of these Finnish Football Show team colours, logo team colours shirts have been bought, and I'm going to come up with a new design for next season, and I'm going to put the year of it there and try and create a little bit of collectability. So if you want one in your team's colours with no year on it, that'll be really collectible, like my one here is. And you got all the Veikkausliiga clubs. There's a few sort of generic Finnish Football Show ones, and then of course there you can see the owl design. It's not necessarily strictly an eagle owl, but it's an owl design, and you can see there's teepublic.com and then Finnish Football Show. And we've also then got the donations. Rich, tell us a little bit about the buymeacoffee.com.
Yeah, buy me a coffee, buy me a beer. We previously had some very generous contributions. You can buy us, I think it's the equivalent, is it €3? Or you can buy them in multiples. I don't know how many 330ml cans of Carlsberg they'll buy you. But
€3 doesn't get you many. If you could donate a couple of those the units of that, we might be in.
Yeah, but thank you for contributing to the bar bill of myself and Keke at the Finland-Denmark game in the summer. That was but yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, a lot of podcasts bleat on about it. It costs money for the hosting and the Zoom and all the other bits and bobs that we have to pick up and sort out for this. So everything is gratefully received.
Very, very much so. And the link there is also in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this. I've put the link just down there below, so it's nice and easy. And feel free to drop us a coffee or a beer or whatever. Before the second half kicks off, we've got Yassil Lasipuli, and we'll throw it over to our regular for this feature, which is Mark. This is you, and you sent this through to us earlier. What is the word?
Kaverisyöttö.
And what does kaverisyöttö mean?
If you translate it literally, it's like a buddy or a friend and pass. So like a pass from a buddy or a friend, but it's the equivalent in English football slang is a hospital ball. So if you give somebody like a proper kaverisyöttö, it means that either you've pinged it off their shins and it goes all over the place, or you've dropped it like a meter short, and then you're gonna have to throw yourself into a 50-50 to get it back.
And it's interesting that the Finnish phrase for it has almost the opposite meaning to how we think of it in the UK. Hospital pass is a negative thing. A buddy pass actually sounds quite good. Like, oh, my buddy set me up for an open goal, but it's not. No.
I think there's a fair amount of Finnish mentality there. So
yeah,
hyvin kaverisyöttö. Kiitos. Joo.
Okay, and we'll now start the second half, and we wanted to look at some of the recent transfers. So in the show notes there'll be a list of some of these, and also the link to this regular blog post from Veikkausliiga where they list all the transfers by the team. But Rich, I think to start with, you had some transfers to highlight here.
Since the last show, Ilmari Niskanen's move to Dundee United was confirmed, although I think he's still waiting for some registration stuff. He did highlight, there was an interview of the Palolita website, how difficult it's become since Brexit to move to the UK. He's a full international for Finland. He's got several caps, I think 6 caps in the last year or so. Eetu Vetäinen is waiting. He's been 7 weeks since he last played. He's currently in Scotland waiting to sign for St Johnstone, and he's still waiting for his work permit to come through. There's all the new regulations around sponsorships and that these things take so long. It's sad. I mean, I'm still talking about it. Ilves obviously now managerless, but they sacked their coach last week. But Vetäinen has been removed from their squad, and he's just sitting in a travel tavern in just outside Perth, doing very little. So it's a shame.
And this is what we discussed this in the last show as well, didn't we? In a bit more detail why this is becoming an issue. So who else has managed to make a move recently?
Eetu Momo I mentioned before. He's gone from Ilves to Lecce. He's over the last, I think this year during the Finnish Cup and in the league, he's stepped up quite a bit. He's looking quite promising. One player from Veikkausliiga who's moving to Scotland, another one, is Juan Alegria from Honka. I think he's due to be signing for Glasgow Rangers this weekend. A lot of him, because he's Colombian, he is therefore automatically the next Morelos. He's only scored twice in Veikkausliiga, and I think the 2 goals in the game against Ilves were from a combined distance of about 3 yards. But he's going there, so Honka will get a fee for him. A couple of Honka players on the move. I think they're losing another one to Lecce as well. But it's interesting times, sort of domestically, and with the transfer window sort of closing all over the place, we're still hearing. I assume Kamara's staying where he is, but
it's interesting for the Asicor fans to hear that Murillo, our marauding left back, has already signed a deal to move to Huuhkajat next season, which is, I think someone's been a bit naughty leaking this. Whether it's the right thing or not for him to have done, it's certainly not the right thing to kind of let it out into public. I think go on, Rich.
I was going to say, Huuhkajat already have a player called Murillo, so
how many do they need, really?
Is this the way to Murillo's? But sorry, I'm going to go.
I can actually remove him from the call. I think, get him out.
Am I allowed back?
Go on then, come back. This is a Murillo with 1 L, so that if you need to differentiate between the 2 of them from the back of their shirts, one is with 2 L's and the other is with 1 L. But it was a bit. I think it added to the kind of flatness at the recent home game as well. It was flat on the pitch. It was flat in the crowd, and I think that going into it thinking, we're doing all right, but still this thing has happened, and I don't know. I think also the game was quite flat because SC had 3 games cancelled recently for COVID at other clubs. Well, actually, one was within our club quarantining, but not actually COVID. But anyway, it was very flat, caused by several factors, and not helped by the fact that one of our players is off to Huuhkajat next year, and we already know about it. Keke.
Yeah, just wanted to. Speaking about transfers, just wanted to mention, and it also coincides with the Huuhkajat squad, another player who's missed out, and is Sauli Väisänen. Understandably, he was unfortunately injured after being named in the Euro squad, but after an absolute, what can only be described as a disaster at his club Kievo, I think due to some sort of, I think it was financial issues or some sort of management irregularities, they've either been relegated or gone out of business or something. I don't know what's gone on there, but he's made the move. He's managed to stay in the Italian Serie B, and he's joined Cosenza, and he's feeling fit. He's made his debut for his new club, and so good luck to Sauli. I mean, it's great to see him pick up a new club in Serie B there in Italy, and hopefully he can force his way back into the Huuhkajat squad soon.
And one more I noticed, I can't remember exactly when it was, but I only found out the weekend that Emil Jaskalainen, the son of Jussi and brother of goalkeeper Will, he's left Kendal Town in, I think it's the Northern Counties Premier Division, and he's gone to the Long Island University Sharks soccer team. So I'm not sure what level they are, but he's doing quite well. He scored 4 goals in his first 8 games. Mixing that with his studies, hopefully.
I don't know if we've mentioned it already, but Nico Hammerlainen, he's left QPR. He's gone to MLS in LA Galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's not going to be another podcast on the face of the planet that's going to go to that level of depth for Finnish players. So just hats off to you, Rich, for that one.
He's a Jaskalainen, isn't he? It's there's a legacy. They have the most wonderful accents because they grew up in Bolton. So
And Long Island University Sharks. I got that name right, did I? I'm putting this in the notes now.
So, Long Island, Finnish, and Bolton. That's going to be. He's going to be. It's going to sound beautiful. But actually, so you mentioned Keke. Nico Hammerlainen moved to the States, right? He moved from QPR. I think we also probably didn't talk about Jere Urunen, who moved for money to Brest, right? Yep. And managed to dodge Messi. So they played PSG. I think they lost to PSG Brest last week. But he's
up front, didn't they?
Two big ones.
But to be fair, he started off really well, Jere, and then he's had a couple of decent games, and I mean it's arguably a step up from. I mean, he had plenty of years in Belgium. He I think they won the cup, didn't they? And he had plenty of success there, but arguably that is a step up going over to Ligue 1 in France. Yeah.
And how did 2 games, 2 goals for a lad who's just moved, Tim Väyrynen, who's back.
Yes.
I know you talked about him last. I feel bad because I missed the last one, like because of work, but we didn't get to talk about Tim's move.
Well,
How does he look?
He looks fit. I think that's the main thing. I think because he was sat in his arse in Albania doing nothing for a year or so. But we joked in our WhatsApp group around how well he'd do, and against Kotepe, he looked like Lionel Messi at his best. Absolutely destroyed him. He did nothing against Union Berlin last week, but we'll go on to that. But again, he's a proven goal scorer at that level. And while he's probably a good signing for Cups sort of squad depth and stuff, I mean, I think, it's going to be difficult to see. Really, I mean, he's not going to get a better move than that, to be honest.
Just one last move or possible move. There's rumours circulating that Oni Valakari could be on his way to AC Milan. He scored a couple for Paphos at the weekend, and in the celebrations he was sort of tapping the club badge in a sort of I love Paphos, but please don't feel bad if I go somewhere else type gesture. It obviously remains to be seen, but there's some rumours circulating about that.
Well, I saw that last week. I think it was either Milan or Red Bull Salzburg, and there was a fee of around €4 million that was mentioned, which for a team buying someone from the Cypriot League is enormous. I know Valakari is, I guess you could very much pigeonhole him as potential, but with 4 million, I mean, let's be honest, if he goes to Milan, really to be right on the fringe of their squad at best, I mean, Salzburg might be a better move for him in the long term.
There seems to be progression through those RB clubs as well, doesn't there? So
yeah, very much.
Yeah, it's shades of Eero Markkanen there a little bit. Like you wouldn't want him. AC Milan's a massive step. I mean, look, he's a really talented kid, obviously, but yeah, I just want to make sure he keeps playing games because that's most important.
Okay, so I'll put the links to the other kind of transfer info in the show notes as well. Rich, you just touched on European fixtures. It's the Cups game is kind of going on as we're recording at the moment, so we won't have anything definitive in the podcast, but I'll put the final score in the notes as well. But how are things looking at the moment?
Well, it's currently half time in the second leg of their playoff with Union Berlin. It's 0-0 in this game, but they're 4-0 from the first leg. So let's be honest. I mean, it was that first leg last week. Union were very efficient in the first half hour. The 7th best team in the Bundesliga gave Cups a bit of a schooling, really. I mean, again, Cups weren't that bad, but Union were efficient. They were strong. They were what you'd expect from a good level German side, and really they took the foot off the gas massively. I think if they kept it on, it might have been quite embarrassing, but it ended up 4-0. But yeah, they're playing in, and a good experience for the Cups players. They're playing in the Berlin Olympia Stadion tonight, and it's 0-0 at half time in that game. So. I mean, Cups have done well to get this far, really. I mean, they got through 3 two-legged ties to get to this stage, and it's good experience, and they'll earn a fair bit of money from it. It's just a shame they won't get through to the group stage now. But they've done really well the last couple of years in Europe, to be honest. So I think for them, they've signed a new deal with Simo Valakari to stay as manager for the next two seasons plus an optional third. So I mean, things are looking good at Cups, and the stadium's making very slow progress, but it's I mean, it had to end sometime, let's be honest, but
it gives something to build on, though, doesn't it, for future seasons as well? So
very much, and as we talked about before, in the Veikkausliiga they're second and they're playing Huuhkajat on Sunday as we're recording, and it's nice to have. I mean, there's still a big gap at the top, and we're still a fair way from the end of the season, but it's nice to have 2 teams in the Veikkausliiga playing at a very good standard.
Talking of Huuhkajat, they also played tonight. How did that tie finish, Keke?
The game finished 5-2 to the away team, Fenerbahce. It was. I was really hopeful for tonight for Huuhkajat after a brilliant display last week away in Turkey. They came away with just a 1-0 reverse, and they played really well. And as I said, was so hopeful for tonight. But yeah, they were undone already in the first sort of 15 minutes. And Enner Valencia, ex of West Ham United, managed to pop up with an early brace, and he added a third later on. The Risky brothers came in with a goal apiece. I think, the first one. What did the first one get it back to? 2-1, and we thought, hold on a minute, like there could be something in this. But yeah, I mean, Fenerbahce, they're a European side with pedigree, so it was a tough ask. But as I said, I was so hopeful after last week. But the Turks have just proved a little bit too strong.
The Huuhkajat story continues because they dropped now into the group stage of the we talked about this last episode. So they have made it to the group stage, having started in qualifying for the Champions League. Yeah. They've ended up in the group stage for the conference, but that is good. Obviously the financially it's a much lower level, but it keeps a Finnish team in European competition at least up till Christmas. So that's something for us all to sort of get behind in some competitive European football.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to sort of hand over to you boys in a minute, especially our UEFA coefficient league specialist, Rich. But yeah, I mean, exactly what you said there, Mark. I mean, just to have a Finnish team continue. There's been other people similar to the Nations League. There's been other people who support clubs from bigger leagues, what have you, bemoan the creation of this Europa Conference League. But for clubs like Huuhkajat and for leagues like the Veikkausliiga, it gives us the opportunity to support our sides in European competition. further into the season rather than just dipping out of these qualifying rounds. But yeah, sorry, Mark H, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that, I mean, so Fenerbahce they're a proper team. In addition to Ener Valencia, they also had Mesut Ozil was running things in midfield, which sort of shows you the quality of the opposition. But I think, I mean, the last couple of games that Huuhkajat have been in, I mean, even tonight they scored twice against a pretty good, a pretty good level team. The Riskies, they're going to do good. Valencic is a quality player. Spav's going to get another season of European football under his belt. I think they've got a fair chance to do all right. Maybe even get out the groups in the Conference League. So I think, I don't know. I think it's like Keke. I think it's a good thing, and I mean, I don't see anybody with the greatest will in the world to Tim Vernon at Coops. I don't see anybody else giving them really a headache in the Veikkausliiga. So I think they can properly prioritize Europe.
And it's all well and good people being sniffy about the Europa Conference, but I tell you what, Arsenal would give their right leg for a Europa Conference place, Richie.
No, it's all right. We get to play Wimbledon at home in the League Cup, Milk Cup, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's good. Are you ready for this? We'll have to have a watch along.
I'm born ready, mate. Born ready. Yeah, this is big. Playing Wimbledon used to be a good game back in the 80s and 90s. So it's been a while. It's been a while.
It certainly has. It's just a shame, that we didn't get Wimbledon don't get to invite Arsenal to, a nice brand new stadium that, with a bit of noise.
Well, it's still a library at Arsenal, but no, I mean this Conference League looks interesting. I think as you touched upon, I think Huuhkajat are probably going to earn their annual budget just for competing in the group stage, probably more for next year. There's going to be 6 games, so 3 home, 3 away. The likelihood is they'll probably get a team of a decent standard as the top seed in there, whether it's Union Berlin or Spurs. Although Spurs lost the first leg of their playoff.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean,
the draw for that is on
fancy
Friday of this week. Yeah, Huuhkajat might do well, to be honest. But it's good. I mean, you've got teams like Roma, Feyenoord in there as well. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Huuhkajat are going to be proper bottom of pot 4, I think. Maybe, although there's a team from Gibraltar in there who are rated higher, which says all you need to know.
Tottenham Hotspur are currently, after 25 minutes, leading 1-0. Some fella called Kane scored a goal after 9 minutes.
Michael Kane.
Apparently. Let's just have a very, very quick kind of overview of what's going on at the top and the bottom of the Veikkausliiga before we sign off and jump in the sauna. So as we've said, Huuhkajat are top with 44 points. Coops are second on 35. They've got a game in hand, but that still leaves them a good 6 points shy. And although, if they play Huuhkajat and win on Sunday and win their game in hand, then they're 3 points behind. That starts to get a little bit more interesting. Currently third is Inter with 29 points. So there's a bit of a gap there as well. And then fourth, Lahti on 27 and fifth, Ashikor on 27. Interesting thing there, because of the cancellations that I mentioned, Ashikor have only played 15 games. So, win those 2 in hand and they're up to third and starting to get a little bit lightheaded being quite so high up the table at this time of the season. Below that then is Honka with 21 and Huuhkajat with 20 and Ilves with 20, and then we're getting down towards the bottom. So a few weeks ago, Arce Oulu were rooted at the bottom. They had a big transfusion of players that can play football, and they've won a few, and they're now sitting in 9th with 16 points, above Huuhkajat in 10th with 15. Mariehamn, who, I don't know, have they scored yet, Rich? Have they won yet?
Well, they did win one game, but they sacked their manager this week. I think there'd been a long campaign for him to go, and even the chairman when he was interviewed on the local press, didn't even give him the dreaded vote of confidence. He just went, "It's not good enough. I will speak to the board." And within a couple of hours, he was gone. So yeah, he's gone. As you mentioned, Ilves sacked Jakovic. Was it last week, the week before? We did say it was due to running results, but there's been some stories in the press that behind the scenes, I think, yeah, it was just one of those. It kind of run its course, and I think they need a new direction. Tony Kallio has taken over as manager there. But yeah, Ola have done really well. They bought 5 or signed 5 new players in the summer, and all of them have kind of taken in, and they won, I think, 3 out of 5 to take them up.
That's right, and they're pushing themselves away from bother for sure. And it just leaves Cortepe at the bottom, 12th place with 8 points, and looking like they're in trouble. Yeah, exactly. Okay,
I do feel for Jarkovic. I think clearly, like a couple of years ago, he got them really close to a title. And I always thought they played really nice football. I always thought, I think he had that thing where he ban slide tackling, something like that. Like when he first came in, and he sort of changed the whole ethos at Ilves. And I think they kept selling players year after year, or letting players move on. And I think he would have just needed a bit more backing to get back up in competition. And I just think it's a bit of a shame, because they've had a couple of bad results, but I don't think it's I think he needed more support to go and win. He's a good manager,
and a good manager who will end up with a job somewhere else in the not too distant future, you imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the final whistle, and we've got our final little segment, which is following. And Rich, you suggested someone's day that we recommend the listeners follow. Who are we following this week?
Well, yeah, this time I'm going to suggest Boris Wisterbo-Marino. He's the kit man at Hoiko. He's very active on Twitter and Instagram. He's really good at sharing a lot of sort of behind the scenes kind of things. I think with Hoiko in Europe, their official channel will share more polished videos and clips and things like that. He shares a lot of things, behind the scenes in the dressing room, when the players are on their travels and stuff. And I know we really shouldn't be bigging up the competition. Well, are they competition, or are they colleagues in the Finnish football podcasting world? But he's one of the guys who does the Palo and Pullo podcast. They get, I'd love to say, as good guests as we do. They've got Teemu Pukki coming up. But
what?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're really good guys. And yeah, he's very worth following on Twitter and Instagram for all your behind the scenes stuff. And he does a few other bits. I think he's a coach at Epps as well.
Very good. The link is there to his Twitter profile at Boris Wisterbo-Mar, all slammed together.
Yeah, if you do have to do that Finnish languagey type stuff, then okay, you may as well dabble with.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But there's only one original English language Finnish football podcast.
That's right. Can I suggest another type of following, which is that if no one's seen it, the videos around Samuel Anini Jr. You get them on Twitter, or you can get them on Huuhkajat. He's a Clubio 4 youngster who is ripping up the next tier, the second tier in Finland, and he looks like a proper boy. Like this kid's going to be special.
It's funny because Clubby and Huuhkajat have been generally quite poor. I mean, they're a junior side basically, and Mika Varonen is their coach. But I mean, some of the goals, 7 goals he scored this season. They put a little highlights reel on Twitter today, and I say one of the goals was reminiscent of a young Thierry Henry. I'm not saying he's going to get there, but he's been watching some videos. Really, really impressive.
So is this the Hoiko Twitter that people should check out?
But it's on the Miesten Huuhkajat Twitter.
Okay.
They get the feed from the Ruutu games, but they had little highlights reel of his goals today, and 3 of them, and the last one was very special.
Very good. Okay, I'll find that and put a link in there as well, so that people can find the little reel
Okay.
that you're showing.
While we're talking social media, I just want to say a big thank you to Palolito for sending Mark Hayton such a lovely birthday wish. That was he had Linda Salstrom and Joel Poyenpalo popped into his inbox to say happy birthday to him. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Nice little touch from the Palolito there after they've cast their net far and wide, getting everyone's details into their database. Just dropping little birthday messages, letting you know that they're still thinking about it. I think it's a nice little touch. So
yeah,
decent.
good point, Keke. Well done. Okay, let's wrap it up. It's 3 minutes past sound o'clock for me. Remember to follow our Facebook page for content coming from the FFS team, so podcasts and blogs and so on. Mark is probably going to be quite busy over the next 10 days with match previews and reports and things like that. You'll also there find a link to our Facebook group where you can, join in with the conversation or, maybe ask a question of that. There's also Keke's excellent Instagram page and the Finnish Football Show YouTube channel where you'll find this video and all the previous episodes. You could also follow one of us or all of us on Twitter. I'm at Explore Finland. Mark, who are you?
At FC Suomi.
Rich, who are you?
Escape to Suomi.
And Keke, who are you?
At Keke Mülleri.
That's right. Congratulations. You all got it right. That's it for this episode. Until the next one. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye-bye.
Moi moi.
Moi.